Hi everyone, it's not how fast you're moving that matters. It's where you're headed. Too many people today are sprinting down the wrong road. They're rushing with excitement, working day and night, but here's the problem: speed without direction is just noise. It feels like progress, but it's not. It's like running on a treadmill, sweating, panting, exhausting yourself, yet never getting anywhere new. Direction beats speed every time. Imagine two people starting a journey. One takes the time to pull out the map, to study the compass, to think clearly about where they're going. They may walk slower, but every step is progress toward a real destination. The other person jumps into the car, slams the gas pedal, and races off without checking the route. Hours later, they may be miles away, just in the wrong direction. And you know what's worse than being lost? Being lost at high speed. Life isn't about how fast you can get things done. It's about whether the things you're doing are the right things. Efficiency is wonderful, but being efficient in the wrong area is wasted energy. What matters is clarity. When you know where you're headed, even small steps feel meaningful. Even slow progress feels rewarding. Because you're not just moving, you're advancing towards something that matters. We live in a world that glorifies speed. Faster internet, faster results, faster answers. But let me remind you, a rocket ship flying in the wrong direction doesn't make progress. It just gets lost faster. Success isn't about pace. It's about alignment. Alignment with your vision, your values, your purpose. Ask yourself today, am I moving in the right direction? That's a far more powerful question than, am I moving fast enough? Because here's the truth: the wrong direction, no matter how fast, will never lead to the right destination. Direction gives meaning to effort. Direction transforms activity into achievement. Direction is the quiet compass that ensures your labor produces fruit. Without it, you're just busy. And busy is not the same as productive. So take time to think. Take time to plan. Take time to clarify what truly matters. Slow down long enough to choose your path. And then when you move, your energy counts. Your progress compounds. Your speed, when added to direction, creates momentum. And momentum in the right direction is unstoppable. Remember this: it's not the pace of the journey, it's the path of the journey. Direction beats speed every single time. When we think about success, when we think about progress, so often we measure it in terms of activity, in terms of how much we are doing, how quickly we are moving, how busy we appear to be. The world rewards speed, the world celebrates hustle, the world claps for the person who looks like they are sprinting the fastest. But let me tell you, speed without direction is wasted effort. You can be busy from sunrise to sunset, you can run yourself into exhaustion, you can fill every moment with tasks and checklists. But if those actions are not aligned with a meaningful destination, then all that energy is just scattered in the wind. Being busy is not the same as being productive. Being active is not the same as making progress. The real measure is not how fast you are moving, but whether the path you are on is the right one. Think of a man with a ladder leaning against a wall. He climbs quickly, he ascends with determination, he doesn't stop to breathe. The world sees him climbing and applauds his dedication. But when he finally reaches the top, he looks around and realizes the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. That is what happens when speed comes before direction. Effort spent with no clarity, activity poured into the wrong pursuit, the energy of years poured into a wall that doesn't matter. And this happens to so many people because they confuse movement with progress. They equate business with achievement. They believe that filling the calendar, filling the schedule, filling the hours means filling their life with results. But speed without direction is wasted effort. A young athlete can run the fastest sprint of his life, but if he's running the wrong race, what does it matter? A business owner can work day and night, chasing every new opportunity, spreading himself thinner and thinner. But if the business has no vision, if there is no guiding principle, then all that work is just energy scattered in 10 different directions. He looks busy, he feels overwhelmed, and yet he wonders why the results never show up. Because business without clarity is just noise. Without direction, all that speed is wasted. Even nature teaches us this lesson. Look at a river. Water flows with great force, with speed, with energy. But what makes a river powerful is not how fast the water moves, but the fact that it is channeled. The banks give it direction. Without banks, water spills everywhere, flooding, drowning, destroying, going nowhere useful. The same with us. Without direction, our energy spills over into everything and produces nothing. But when you have banks, when you have a clear path, even a small stream of water has power to carve valleys and turn turbines and create life. The power is not in the speed of the water, but in the direction of its flow. People often tell me they feel tired, they feel burned out, they feel like they're working harder than ever, but never seeing the fruits of their labor. And most of the time, the issue isn't that they lack effort. It isn't that they lack discipline or hustle. It's that their energy is scattered. They've confused motion with meaning. They've chosen speed over clarity, and so every day feels like a race, but one without a finish line. The fatigue comes not just from effort, but from wasted effort. There is nothing more draining than pouring your energy into the wrong things. But when direction is clear, even hard work feels lighter, even long hours feel rewarding, because you know exactly what you're working toward. Speed without direction is like shooting arrows blindfolded. You may shoot 10 arrows in the time it takes another person to carefully aim just one, but when the blindfold comes off, what do you find? Your arrows scattered across the ground, none of them hitting the target. Meanwhile, the slower archer took one careful shot and hit the bullseye. The difference wasn't effort. The difference wasn't even skill. The difference was direction. And this applies to every area of life. In your career, you can chase promotions, you can take on projects, you can keep running after whatever is in front of you. But if the direction is wrong, all that effort won't bring fulfillment. In relationships, you can spend energy pleasing people, going to events, staying busy socially. But if the direction is wrong, if those relationships don't align with your values, then that energy leaves you empty. In personal growth, you can read dozens of books, take countless courses, fill your brain with information. But if the direction is missing, if you don't know what kind of person you want to become, then all that speed is just accumulation without transformation. Direction makes all the difference. Think of a plane. If the nose of the plane is pointed even 1 degree off course, it doesn't seem like much in the beginning. A plane leaving Los Angeles, aiming for New York, just 1 degree off will end up hundreds of miles away in the wrong place. Speed didn't matter in that journey. The engines could roar, the miles could pass quickly, the passengers could marvel at how fast they were flying, but without the right direction, the destination was wrong. That's the danger of speed without clarity. The faster you go, the more costly a small error becomes. And yet, the beauty of direction is that once you have it, even small steps matter. Even slow progress compounds. Once you know your true north, you no longer feel pressure to sprint blindly. You understand that every step forward, however small, is meaningful because it is aligned. That's why someone who moves slowly but purposefully will always outperform the one who races without a compass. One has peace, the other has exhaustion. One has momentum, the other has noise. So the challenge is not to ask, how fast can I go? The real challenge is to ask, am I headed in the right direction? Because if the answer is yes, speed becomes a blessing. If the answer is no, speed becomes a curse. What we want is alignment first, pace second, energy channeled into a worthy cause, effort directed toward a meaningful goal. Then and only then does speed matter. Otherwise, speed without direction is wasted effort. Clarity creates progress. When a person knows exactly what they are working toward, every step becomes meaningful, every action becomes connected, every day becomes part of a bigger picture. Without clarity, life feels scattered. You wake up and fill the hours with tasks, with obligations, with things that feel urgent but aren't always important, and at the end of the day you're exhausted but unsure if you've actually moved forward. With clarity, even small actions carry weight. Even the tiniest step feels like progress because it is connected to something greater. Clarity is what turns motion into momentum. Picture someone digging a hole. If they dig here today, then tomorrow over there, and the next day in a completely different spot, they will work hard, but after weeks of digging, they will have nothing but shallow pits scattered all over. But if they choose one spot, if they dig with purpose and direction, eventually they strike water. The difference wasn't the amount of effort. It was clarity of where to dig. Progress doesn't come from random motion. It comes from focused clarity. When clarity is missing, people live by default. They take what comes, they react instead of act. They chase what is urgent instead of what is essential. They fill their time but never truly build. But once you stop and decide what really matters, once you give your life a clear focus, something powerful happens. Distractions lose their power. Noise quiets down. You begin to recognize what deserves your yes and what requires your no. Clarity simplifies life. It doesn't make the path easy, but it makes it clear. And a clear path, no matter how difficult, is always easier to walk than a foggy one. Think about the difference between a laser and a light bulb. Both give off light, but a light bulb scatters energy in every direction. It illuminates a room, but that's all. A laser, on the other hand, focuses its energy into a single point, and with that clarity, it can cut through steel. Same energy, different result. That's the power of clarity. When you focus your life, your energy multiplies, your progress accelerates. You stop scattering yourself and start channeling yourself. Clarity also creates endurance. When the road is long, when the climb is steep, when the challenges come, it is clarity of purpose that keeps you moving. Without it, the weight feels unbearable. But when you know why you're walking, when you know where you're going, the same weight feels lighter. A person with clarity can endure almost anything because they are not just carrying the load, they are carrying meaning. That meaning fuels them. It gives strength where speed alone would fail. Clarity turns obstacles into part of the path instead of distractions from it. Imagine hiking a mountain. Without a map, every fallen tree feels like a setback. Every fork in the trail feels like confusion. Every wrong turn feels like failure. But with a map, with clarity of where you are headed, those same obstacles are just part of the journey. You step over the tree, you take the right fork, you stay the course because the destination is clear. That's why clarity creates progress. It doesn't remove the obstacles, but it keeps you from mistaking them for the end of the road. It is clarity that makes the difference between a person who simply works and a person who builds. Work without clarity becomes routine, a cycle of activity repeated day after day. But work with clarity becomes progress, a foundation laid brick by brick towards something real. That's why some people can work fewer hours but accomplish more. They are not busy in every direction. They are focused in one, and every action, no matter how small, compounds over time. Clarity also has a way of sharpening decision-making. Without it, every option looks appealing, every path looks possible, and we end up paralyzed by choice or spread thin across too many commitments. But with clarity, decisions become easier. You can measure opportunities against your purpose. You can ask, does this move me closer to my goal or farther from it? If closer, you say yes. If farther, you say no. That simple filter saves time, saves energy, and prevents wasted motion. Progress always follows clarity. Look at history, look at invention, look at any story of achievement. The people who accomplished great things were not always the fastest, not always the strongest, but they were clear. They knew what they wanted to achieve. Thomas Edison was not trying 1,000 random things when he worked on the light bulb. He was testing 1,000 ways to reach one clear goal. That clarity turned failure into feedback and delay into learning. Without it, he might have quit. With it, he created progress for the world. The same principle applies to everyday life. If your health goal is vague, like I want to get fit, your actions will be scattered. You'll try diets for a week, maybe exercise for a few days, and then stop. But if your goal is clear, like I want to run a 10K in 6 months, then every workout connects. Every meal choice matters. You can measure your progress, and that measurement fuels momentum. Clarity turns vague desire into a concrete plan. Clarity also creates confidence. When you're unsure of your direction, doubt creeps in. You second, guess yourself, you hesitate, you worry whether you're doing the right thing. But once you've set a clear path, your confidence grows. You may still face challenges, but you no longer waste energy questioning whether the journey matters. You know it does. That certainty gives you boldness to take steps others might avoid. It gives you the courage to persist where others give up. Clarity doesn't guarantee speed, but it guarantees progress. It doesn't mean you will get there overnight, but it ensures that when you arrive, it will be where you intended. And that is worth far more than running fast in the wrong direction. Clarity is the compass, the map, the guiding star that ensures your steps, no matter how small, are carrying you forward. When you have it, you no longer measure life by how much you do, but by how much it matters. The wrong direction at high speed only gets you lost faster. It's a simple truth, but one that so many ignore. People get caught up in the rush, caught up in the thrill of movement, caught up in the applause that comes with looking busy. They move quickly, they race ahead, they push harder and harder. But if the path is wrong, all they're doing is getting farther away from where they should be. Speed feels like progress, but without the right direction, speed only multiplies the mistake. It's like being on a road trip and missing the exit. At first you think, it's fine, I'll just keep going, but the farther and faster you go, the longer it takes to turn back. Every mile covered at high speed in the wrong direction makes the correction more costly. The same happens in life. When we are headed the wrong way, speed makes it worse, not better. Being lost slowly is one thing. Being lost quickly is another. One gives you time to recognize the mistake. The other blinds you with momentum until you're too far off track to notice. Many people are running at full speed with goals they never chose for themselves. They pursue careers because someone else told them it was safe. They chase lifestyles because society told them it was success. They fill their days with routines that were handed to them, not chosen by them. And the faster they run, the deeper they go into a life that doesn't belong to them. It looks like achievement, but inside they feel empty because they realize too late that they were sprinting in the wrong direction. The danger of speed is that it gives the illusion of progress. The car is moving, the odometer is climbing, the scenery is changing, so it must mean you're getting somewhere. But what if that somewhere is not where you want to go? What if all the effort, all the gas, all the miles are carrying you away from your true destination? That's the trap. Without direction, speed is deception. It makes you believe you are closer to success when you are actually drifting away from it. The wrong direction at high speed also creates burnout, because when you're moving quickly without clarity, you use up enormous amounts of energy with very little return. It's like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. The more you pour, the more you lose. The result is exhaustion without fulfillment. You've been running all day, you've been pushing yourself, you've been giving your best. But at the end of it, there is no satisfaction, only fatigue. Progress fuels energy, but misdirection drains it. That's why so many people feel tired not from working too hard, but from working hard at the wrong things. Imagine climbing a mountain with everything you've got. You push through cold winds, you scrape your knees, you keep climbing because you believe the view will be worth it. But when you finally reach the peak, you look around and realize you climbed the wrong mountain. All that speed, all that sacrifice, all that effort, and the reward is disappointment. That's the pain of being in the wrong direction. And the faster you climb, the more painful the mistake becomes. In business, this principle shows up all the time. Companies get excited about scaling fast, hiring quickly, expanding into new markets before they've built a solid foundation. They grow at high speed, but if their strategy is flawed, they simply fail faster. Growth without direction is dangerous because speed amplifies weakness. It multiplies small errors until they become disasters. That's why clarity must come before expansion. That's why the path must be checked before the pace is increased. In personal life, it's the same. A person can rush into relationships, rush into commitments, rush into decisions, all in the name of moving forward. But when the foundation is wrong, when the values don't align, when the vision isn't shared, all that speed only accelerates heartbreak. Time doesn't heal a wrong direction, it exposes it. And speed simply brings that exposure sooner. The truth is, direction is like a compass. Speed is like a vehicle. A fast vehicle is wonderful when the compass is true. But a fast vehicle with a broken compass is dangerous. It doesn't just keep you from arriving. It guarantees you will arrive somewhere you never wanted to be. That's why the wise person checks the compass before pressing the accelerator. That's why the wise person pauses to ask, am I on the right path? Before celebrating how fast they are moving. The world often pressures us to move quickly, to get ahead, to not waste time. But the greater waste of time is not moving slowly. It is moving quickly in the wrong direction. It is better to walk slowly on the right road than to sprint down the wrong one, because at least the slow walker, step by step, is getting closer to the destination. The sprinter in the wrong direction is only getting farther away. The wrong direction at high speed also steals joy, because when you're always rushing, when you're always racing, you don't have time to reflect. You don't have time to check if the path still matches your heart. You don't have time to listen to the quiet whispers that tell you something isn't right. Speed drowns out awareness, and awareness is what saves us from drifting. That's why sometimes slowing down is the smartest thing you can do. Not to stop progress, but to make sure the progress is real. The irony is that once you are in the right direction, speed becomes a gift. The faster you move, the quicker you arrive where you want to be. Every bit of energy fuels joy instead of emptiness. Every mile traveled brings fulfillment instead of regret. Speed is not the enemy. Misalignment is. But when misalignment exists, speed multiplies the loss. The wrong direction at high speed doesn't just waste energy, it wastes life. Direction transforms activity into achievement. Activity by itself is just motion. It's just the expenditure of energy. It's just filling the hours with things to do. But achievement is different. Achievement means that the effort counted, that the work created something lasting, that the time produced fruit. The bridge between the two is direction. Without direction, you can be busy all day and still have nothing to show. With direction, even small actions accumulate into something meaningful. Many people confuse activity with progress. They look at their packed calendars, their endless emails, their long lists of tasks, and they feel accomplished because they were active. But business is not the same as achievement. If the activity doesn't lead anywhere, it's just motion. Think about a rocking chair. It moves constantly, but it goes nowhere. You can rock for hours using energy, feeling movement, but when you get up, you're in the same place. That is activity without direction. It feels like progress, but it's not. Now picture a farmer. He wakes early, tills the soil, plants seeds, waters the ground. None of those actions are wasted because they are connected to a harvest. That's the difference direction makes. It connects effort to outcome. Every action may look small, but each has purpose because it is part of a larger plan. And when the season is over, the farmer doesn't just have memories of being busy. He has crops, he has fruit, he has results. That's achievement. In careers, this truth shows up every day. You can spend years attending meetings, responding to messages, running from one task to another, and end up wondering why nothing has changed. because all the activity was horizontal, not vertical. It kept you moving, but it didn't lift you higher. Direction is what turns tasks into stepping stones. When you know your destination, when you have a vision of where you want to go, the same activities suddenly take on new weight. That meeting isn't just an hour of talk. It's a chance to move closer to your vision. That task isn't just busy work. It's a brick in the wall of something you're building. Direction gives meaning to discipline. Waking early, working late, studying, practicing, saving, all of these can feel burdensome when they are just activities. But when you connect them to a vision, when you know what they are serving, they turn into investments. A musician doesn't practice scales for hours because scales are exciting. They do it because those scales are stepping stones to artistry. An athlete doesn't push through exhausting drills for the sake of exhaustion. They do it because those drills translate into performance. Direction turns routine into purpose. Think of building a house. If you simply stack bricks in random places, you'll end up with piles of material scattered across the ground. That's activity. But if you follow a blueprint, if you lay each brick where it belongs, step by step, eventually you stand back and see walls rising. You see a home taking shape, same bricks, same effort, but one is scattered energy while the other is guided energy. Direction is the blueprint that transforms effort into achievement. Another way to see it is through the idea of compounding. Activity without direction is like depositing coins into 10 different jars at random. You never build enough in any jar to matter. But with direction, you choose one jar, and every coin adds up until it becomes significant. Over time, those small deposits become wealth. The same with life. When your actions are scattered, they never accumulate. When they are aligned, they multiply. Direction also protects you from the trap of comparison. Without it, you measure your activity against others. You see how busy they are, how much they're doing, how fast they seem to move, and you feel behind. But when you have direction, you no longer compare activity levels. You compare alignment. You know your path, you know your purpose, and you measure progress by whether you are moving closer to that. That keeps you steady when others are rushing. It keeps you focused when others are distracted. One of the most common regrets people have is realizing too late that they were active but not effective. They look back on years of work, years of running, and realize they achieved little that mattered. The saddest discovery is that activity consumed them, but achievement escaped them. That's why direction matters so deeply. It keeps you from wasting life on things that look urgent but aren't important. It forces you to ask, does this action contribute to where I want to go? If yes, it's worth doing. If not, it's just noise. Even rest takes on meaning when you have direction. Rest without purpose can feel like laziness, but rest with purpose becomes recovery. It's part of the achievement process, not an escape from it. Because direction helps you understand that not every hour must be filled with frantic activity. What matters is whether the hours, both active and quiet, are serving the goal. With direction, rest becomes fuel instead of guilt. Direction also magnifies motivation. Activity for its own sake often drains enthusiasm because you never see the payoff. But when each action connects to a larger vision, you see progress. You feel growth. And that fuels more energy. You no longer have to push yourself with sheer willpower because the results begin to pull you forward. The small wins along the way remind you that you're not just busy, you're building. Activity is the raw material, but direction is the architect. Without the architect, the raw material is wasted, scattered, piled up without form. But with the architect, every piece fits, every step builds, and the outcome is something greater than the sum of the parts. That's what transforms activity into achievement. It's not more effort that creates success. It's aligned effort. It's not working harder at everything. It's working consistently at the right things. Momentum is built on alignment first, speed second. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in life. Once it begins, it carries you farther than you thought possible. It makes hard things easier. It multiplies your results. But here's the secret: real momentum doesn't come from simply moving fast. Real momentum comes from being aligned. When your direction, your values, your vision, and your actions are lined up, momentum takes care of itself. Speed without alignment just burns energy, but speed with alignment creates power. Alignment means that what you are doing matches who you want to become. It means that your daily choices reflect your ultimate goals. It means that your actions today are consistent with the future you want tomorrow. When alignment is present, even small steps generate momentum because each one compounds on the last. But when alignment is missing, even great speed produces nothing lasting. You can rush, you can hustle, you can keep moving, but if the actions don't line up with the destination, momentum never arrives. Think of a train. When it sits on the tracks, everything is lined up. The rails guide its direction, the cars are connected, the engine is steady. Once it starts moving, even slowly. The alignment ensures that momentum builds. It doesn't need to race in the beginning, it just needs to be consistent. And as the wheels turn, speed increases naturally. Now imagine a train that isn't on the tracks. No matter how powerful the engine, no matter how much fuel is burned, it won't move far. Without alignment, speed is wasted. The tracks matter more than the throttle. This is why so many people feel stuck despite working hard. They're pushing, they're running, they're moving quickly, but nothing seems to stick. The problem isn't effort. The problem is misalignment. They're trying to build momentum on the wrong foundation. And when alignment is missing, speed only leads to frustration. You can burn yourself out moving quickly in circles, but true progress requires a straight line forward. That straight line comes from alignment. Momentum built on alignment has a unique quality. It feels natural. It feels like life is carrying you forward rather than you pushing endlessly. When the right habits connect to the right vision, progress feels lighter. You wake up with clarity. You go through your day with energy because you're no longer fighting against yourself. That's what alignment does. It removes friction. Without it, life is full of inner conflict. You say you want one thing, but you act in another way. You desire growth, but your habits contradict it. That dissonance creates drag, but when alignment is restored, the drag disappears and momentum accelerates. It is alignment that allows momentum to compound. Consider an athlete. If their training plan aligns with their body's needs, their diet aligns with their energy demands, and their mindset aligns with their goals, momentum builds with every week of practice. Their progress multiplies. But if those areas are misaligned, if their training contradicts their diet, or their habits contradict their mindset, speed alone won't help. They may train faster, but the lack of alignment prevents real momentum. The same principle applies in business. A company that aligns its vision, its people, its systems, and its values will create unstoppable momentum. Every department pulls in the same direction, every decision supports the mission, and speed becomes a natural outcome. But a company without alignment may hire quickly, expand quickly, advertise heavily, but the lack of harmony creates chaos. Teams work against each other, strategies contradict, energy is scattered. Speed without alignment only accelerates failure. Alignment first, speed second. Momentum also relies on alignment because life isn't about single actions, it's about patterns. Anyone can sprint for a day, but momentum comes from consistency. And consistency only lasts when actions are aligned with purpose. If you try to force yourself into habits that contradict who you are or what you value, you'll give up quickly. But when your habits flow from alignment, they become natural. They don't drain you, they fuel you. That's why alignment is the seed of momentum. It's like sailing. If your sails are aligned with the wind, even a gentle breeze can carry you forward. You don't need to strain, you don't need to row frantically, you just need to stay aligned, and momentum does the work. But if your sails are misaligned, no amount of frantic rowing will match what alignment could have given you. That's the difference between struggling and flowing. Momentum feels like flow because alignment has done the hard work. Alignment also gives you confidence to add speed at the right time. If you are misaligned, speed feels risky. You hesitate, you doubt, you worry that you're going the wrong way. But when you know you're aligned, you can press forward boldly. You can add effort, you can accelerate because you trust the foundation. That confidence makes momentum grow faster because doubt no longer slows you down. When alignment is in place, speed becomes a multiplier. Every action connects, every step compounds, every day builds on the last. That's when momentum becomes unstoppable. You no longer need to force results because results grow naturally out of alignment. That's why the wise never chase speed first. They chase alignment. They check their direction, they clarify their vision, they align their actions, and then they add speed. That order is what creates sustainable momentum. Think about water flowing downhill. The slope provides alignment. Gravity pulls in one direction. The water doesn't need to force itself, it simply moves. And as it continues, it gathers more volume, more force, more speed. That's momentum. But if you block the alignment, if the water is scattered across flat ground, it loses energy, it stagnates. The same in life. When you're aligned with the natural slope of your values and vision, momentum builds effortlessly. When you're not, all the speed in the world won't help. Momentum is one of the greatest advantages you can create, but it only comes when you get the sequence right. Alignment first, then speed. The world often teaches us to reverse the order, to rush first and figure it out later, but that path only creates burnout. The lasting path is to align first, to be certain that the path is true, to know that your actions match your goals. Once that's in place, speed adds strength instead of chaos. That's how momentum is born and sustained.